Yo, peace and love, fam. Hope everyone is doing well today. So, today I want to reflect on relationships a little bit. Okay. And the reason why I'm hitting this topic right now is because I made a video, I recorded a video about 2 weeks ago or so, and I didn't release it. I may release it, but I just haven't been myself lately. I haven't been 100% motivated. Sometimes I feel defeated, discouraged. I've been feeling really low. I won't get into the details why, but in a nutshell, I'm personally just tired of figuring things out. You're always gonna have to figure things out. The learning never stops, but I'm tired of the dead ends, the uncertainty, the figuring things out, things going wrong, failing and failing and failing. It's tough, right? Of course, I'm resilient. I'm not gonna give up. I don't plan on giving up. But it's tough, man. It's tough. The burnout is real. The low energy is real. And perhaps I had to feel this once again. Perhaps I had to feel this low once again to be able to truly relate with the people that I am aiming to connect with, right? And reach and help them transform their lives. Um, through the grand power of a great miracle by that which is greater than ourselves, right? Perhaps I needed to feel that again. For so long, I had been focusing on self mastery, the self, right? The whole shadow work thing, which shadow work is easy in theory. In theory. Well, I should say the concept is simple. The concept, the concept of it is simple. You work on yourself, however long it takes and whatever steps you take, so that you can live a better life by being your better self, by wanting to give yourself better and loving yourself. Self-care, very important. A few years ago, I had decided that I actually want to improve my relationships. I want to improve my interactions with people and it was always good, but I had lost myself for a period. Because when you go through your BS, sometimes you're not the most or at times, yeah, you're not the most social person, pleasant person. It happens, right? But a few years ago I came to that conclusion. I want to improve my relationships with people. Excuse me. I want to improve my relationships with people because I started to see how important it is and how happy I am around the right company. The whole lone wolf thing, I'll keep saying it. It serves its purpose. But that lone wolf mentality in life, unless you're really hardcore about living with that to the bitter end, I don't recommend that for everyone. It does a lot of damage. Being loneliness, right? Like literally feeling loneliness affects your health. The depression is bad. It affects your health it affects your health like diseases, drugs, alcohol, etc. It does a lot of damage to the body. Even if you don't feel lonely, so you don't go through the depression, but you're alone and you're not interacting with people, you're not socializing, it affects your social skills and it does change you mentally and not for the better, right? So I don't advocate, and look, for the people that need to be alone, especially the introverts, and you need your time, that's understandable. And I'm not saying that you have to do anything. At the end of the day, you can do whatever you want to do. What I'm just stressing is relationships are important because we do the inner work, for ourselves when we're focusing on self, right? But then there is the outer work, which is my whole point of everything that I'm saying. The outer work is super important. And I've only begun to appreciate it even more within recent months. Maybe like probably towards the end of last year, or maybe sometimes the middle of about a year ago. Okay, so a few years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, I started contemplating the whole, bettering relationships, but it really sunk in last year. And this year, I'm really digesting to the maximum all those concepts. Because the outer work is the work that we do, the interactions that we're having outside of us, how we interact with the world. And we choose how we can run on autopilot and just, it's just the way that I am, right? Again, that's lack of the inner work. But that outer work, we choose how we interact with the world. We choose how we interact with people. We choose that. That is a choice. Just like when you wake up and you brush your teeth. So I don't like the excuse, me personally, I'm speaking for myself. That's just the way that I am. Things are not going to change. I want certain things to change for the better, because I learned that for my reality to change, for my situation to improve, I have to be willing to do the work on all levels, not just do the work on myself and just focus on myself. That can be selfish, right? But put some importance and focus on the relationships with others, friends, family, your community, even your coworkers, which that's a whole nother monster. We're not going to get along with all of our coworkers, and they're not all, you have to use discretion in the professional work environment. That goes without saying, but we can still choose how we interact with people is my point, right? I decided that I want to be, if I'm going to be the best and give the best of myself, not only, let me bear with me. Let me rephrase that. What I'm realizing even more, this is something that I've always known and it's always been told to me, etc. When you're immature and you're young, you take these things for granted. But for me to truly have a fulfilling life, me personally, and the type of person that I am, not only do I need to better myself, but I need to better my environment and my interactions with people, my relationships with people, because me only focusing on myself and bettering myself, and I know I'm rambling a lot, forgive me, I'm gonna try to keep this video short, but me only focusing on myself will not bring me fulfillment, because it's only one piece of the puzzle. It's only half of it, right? So I will get true fulfillment when I live my life whole, and that is having good relationships, right? So I had rocky relationships with few family members. I'll say this much: few family members, right? Had rocky relationships, parents, right? That's something that's common amongst people. I have problems with certain family members, siblings, parents. I decided I wanted to fix all of that and work on all of that. And so I did, and I have been making progress. But now I need to extend that to everyone. Hell, I even went as far along as, bettering my relationships and my interactions with my coworkers. Even though I knew we weren't going to be the best of friends, right? But I wanted to put my best foot forward, because what I'm starting to find fulfillment in is doing the work to give the best, to give myself the best, but I also want to give the best of myself to others and to the world. I want to, the works that I do with my hands, right? I want to give it the most love and respect and consideration. Whether it be I'm doing something for, even if it's just taking care of plants, right? They're plants, they're not people. But whether it be interacting with people or inanimate objects or whatever the task is, I want to give it my best. And also, here's the last thing I want to say is that And I say this because of the perfectionism in me, and you know, sometimes I get obsessed over the details, but I no longer want to look at this as just work, right? And in the constant self-improvement, the self-improvement doesn't need to be extreme. And we don't need to look at everything as a self-improvement, right? Is a journey, is a process, but not everything needs to be tweaked, you know, like not to make fun of these people, but like the people that are obsessed with plastic surgeries. It's never perfect. They want a little bit more. Yo, some things, man, you just need to leave it alone and just appreciate it for what it is and work from there. Some things are just part of our personality, it's just part of our personas, it's part of our spirit. And I say that because I went to the extreme wanting to perfect everything. Yo, learn to love some of those imperfections, right? So long as you're not hurting yourself and hurting anyone. You know, so that's pretty much what I gotta say about that, man. Is the outer work is important. Our interactions with people, with the world. I know this world, and I'll probably do another video the next time I get around to it. I know, and comment on what I'm about to say next, is nothing's perfect. Things seem to be getting worse, right? Society is weird. People are just weird. The social interactions are weird. But there's a good reason for that, whatever the reason may be, or it may not be a good reason, but there's a reason for that, and there are solutions. It's just gonna take work. And I don't want to look at it as all things are. I don't want to give in to the self-defeatist attitude, and I don't want any of us to give into the self-defeatist attitude as of there's nothing that we can do. Things are gonna get worse. It's out of our hands, and even if we do what we do now to improve things, we might not get to see or live um the fruits of that labor. But in reality, we can't think like that. In reality, I'm learning. And mind you, I don't have kids, right? And I'll say it again, the true heroes are you mothers and fathers, you good mothers and fathers that you do your absolute best to raise these kids. You're the first heroes. You're number one on the list, right? But we have to think about the future generations too, whether you have kids or not, right? I'm thinking like this and I don't have kids. I'm thinking about your kids. And I may have kids one day, who knows? It just something came to me that I've been talking about with my brother. It makes me feel at peace to do the right thing. And to me, doing the right thing is taking care of yourself and taking care of your people. And that's why Christ said, right, that the only two commandments you have to worry about is loving God above all else. And if you love God, right, you're going to love yourself and take care of yourself because we are the temple of the Most High and the Holy Spirit, right? For those of you that believe in that, I was raised Christian, raised Catholic, and I believe in God. But love God and love God above everything else, right? So something bigger than you. This is something bigger than yourself. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it goes back to loving something bigger than yourself, right? Spirituality is super important. I won't get too deep into that now, but spirituality is super important. We can't carry the weight of the world on our shoulders by ourselves. But then he said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. So it goes back to loving yourself. You're going to love yourself. Like if you want the best and you want to progress, you're going to have some type of love for yourself. But it goes back to community and loving your neighbor, loving your people, right? So that's just my little rant, my little 15-minute rant. I was trying to keep it under 10 minutes. But that's just what I wanted to stress. Relationships, and I took a lot of relationships for granted for a very long time. And is one of my, I will tell you, it's one of my biggest regrets. Taking for granted these relationships, these beautiful people, letting friendships fade that didn't deserve to fade. These are beautiful, good people. Um, and I don't want to live that life. I don't want to be the elderly person on their deathbed. You know, um, may God bless those people that are going through it. But um, I don't want to be that elderly person on my deathbed and saying that one of the things I regretted was that, I chose to be a loner. I didn't stay in touch with family and friends. Nah. And on top of that, I'm Dominican. We are social people and we are very tribal on top of that. Like that lone wolf shit, that's very abnormal in my culture. Like this is weird. But anyways, that's just my little rant, man. Relationships, our interaction with the world, man, and as I go through what I go through, I'm starting to find more peace in, knowing that I can get along with people, which I've gotten along with people for the most part, except when I was difficult. But knowing that I can get along with people, knowing that I actually enjoy people's company, I'm a people person. So I can't run away from me personally, my personality traits. It's in me, and I choose to not run away from it. Nurture your relationships and don't take your people for granted. Don't take your community and your tribe for granted, and nurture your relationships and cherish them. Peace and love.